him again rejecting the $440 million deal with the Nationals now, with the trade deadline, with that's going to be approaching. Where do we get a sense of what's going to happen with Juan?
I don't know. I mean, we'll get a sense every day, more of a sense every day from now on, I think, as we get closer to the deadline. I don't know that he's going to be traded at the deadline, but I do think that we now know that he will not sign an extension with the Nationals. I think that they made that pretty clear yesterday. He will certainly not sign an extension during the season. I asked him a lot of guys don't negotiate during the season, and I asked him if he wished he had taken that stance, and he said he did, and he thought he would take it in the future, that he's done dealing with this during the season. So that's it on this season. So the question now is whether they deal him at this deadline or they try again in the offseason. And I think that they've got to explore a deal pretty heavily, because they made it pretty clear that he's not planning to be extended. He wants to test free agency. Scott Boras his agent wants to set records. He's got a player who is capable of doing that and who is interested in doing that. And with the Nationals ownership situation in question, I mean, Juan said yesterday, we'd like to know who the owner is. Scott Boras said yesterday, I don't think any player would sign when he doesn't know who the owner is going to be. And that's not going to be wrapped up in the next, 2 weeks before the trade deadline. So it's hard to imagine that a long-term deal comes through anytime soon. The issue is just what it will take to get a player like Juan Soto. I mean, it would have to be the biggest trade in history. And so you have to on both ends, you have to convince ownership that you made the right choice here. On the National side, they got to really get back a lot of good players, because you're replacing one player's production with it's going to take 4 or 5 to do that. And then the team that tries to acquire him, I mean, your team may suddenly be Juan Soto and nobody else, because you had to trade so many guys to get him back. And then you're kind of in the Nationals position right now where it's Juan Soto and nobody else. So you have to really it has to be the right situation. And I think that's going to be hard to find.